Okay, my Love Island fans, we are back for a new week in Spain for the Australia version, and we got to talk about what happened in this episode. A new bombshell enters the villa. There is a shocking dumping, and one couple have a very tearful conversation. Welcome back to Romance Review TV. It's Lady T. I got another recap for you guys. Love Island Australia's Season 4, Episode number 13. And without further ado, let's talk about what happened. So, as you know, we came off of that previous episode with that crazy challenge that Column was acting a fool with. Well, it kind of caused a little bit of a rise when it came to Jordan because he got to kiss Phoebe H. And he admitted to the guys that he really enjoyed that kiss. So he's interested in getting to learn more. As for Mitchell and OG Phoebe, Mitchell was like, you know what, I'm going to put it on the line. Yeah, I like Phoebe, but I'm going to have to let her know that I'm going to be open to having conversations to live the whole Love Island experience. Now, the interesting thing is, as straightforward and as honest as he was about his intentions moving forward, she was actually receptive to it. She was actually happy that he was honest. But I don't know if he really truly is, because in her head, she thinks she's number one. But if a new bombshell or something come in and we still got Casa Amor, I'm wondering, is that going to be the same idea that she has if he decides to go a different route? We'll see. So, speaking of Jordan previously, he wanted to have a sit-down conversation with Phoebe H. to let her know that that kiss really sparked something between the two of them. So at this point, Jordan is pretty much open to exploring something new with Phoebe H. Which also means when it comes to Stella, she sees the writing on the wall, as mentioned in this conversation that she had with Maddie and Tack. That as much as she thinks that, she has a pretty much strong connection with Jordan, she also know that his interest lies elsewhere. So she's not oblivious to what's going on. Speaking of Tak actually have a connection with Vaku. Now, the thing is that Vaku knows that Tak is the conscious choice to go with. She even mentioned it in her beach hut confession that as much as she likes Tak because of the fact that he's a good guy, he's truly interested, he's asking the right questions, he's serious, and I think even one of the girls says that he has a lot of emotional intelligence. The problem is that Vaku wants Column. She wants the danger. She wants the bad boy. And the crazy thing about this is that Vaku, I'm telling you, I don't know if you want to go there, but she did end up having a kiss. Now, I do want to mention that whole thing she said about her being cremated and putting her ashes in a smoothie. Even though Tak said he would do it, he's not interested in doing that, Vaku. So finally we get to the Stella and Jordan conversation, because we know they really had a close bond. They had a cute winery date, and it was the best date they ever had. But after Phoebe H and that whole thing with that whole challenge that they had, he decided to rip the Band-Aid off and tell Stella how he's feeling. So he told her, I had a chat with Phoebe H and she told me I'm number one. And I was like, oh, I'm really liking where we are at this point. But at the same time, I feel like I need to at least give her the time of day to see if there's going to be anything there. And Stella is absolutely devastated by the decision, as she, hears Jordan owes it to her and to himself to see if he vibes with the new bombshell. And I mean, it really throws a whole spanner in this whole thing, is according to what he said. Now, as much as he's happier with Stella and I are going, he also don't want to wake up every day and I don't know. And we saw Stella later burst into tears in front of the other girls. And she was like, if your head is that easily swayed in a couple of chats, maybe you didn't like me much at all. So Yeah, it sucks. I mean, she was so emotional, and especially how much she was really into Jordan, having that great date at the winery, and now this. Now, me myself, I don't see the chemistry between Phoebe H and Jordan. Who knows? Obviously, Phoebe wants to rip his clothes off, according to her, but I guess it'll all pan out in the end, what happens with these two. So then we get to see Al kind of make some coffee, and I guess he's been struggling learning how to make coffee, but he finally got it right, and he was able to bring Jessica her cup of coffee, and pretty much that's all that these two had on scene in this particular episode. Let's talk about this situation, because Layla and Colum are just all booed up in the villa, which of course doesn't sit well with some of the other girls, because they don't like Colum. They think he's taken over the villa and that he's misusing her. Take a look.
Please him. He is doing the biggest fuckboy tendencies right now, and she's blinded. I'm not helping her one fucking bit anymore. I'm sick of it. She doesn't want to listen to anyone's fucking advice. Let her heart broken, because that's exactly what's going to happen. He will break her heart, and I don't give a fuck. She is trying to change someone that will not change. He just had a fucking kiss with the two new girls. And then, to top it all off, she found out about it and then gets into bed with him and starts cuddling him. In the doghouse. Oh, he was in the doghouse.
No, he wasn't.
What fucking doghouse?
No. That is not how a girl I know would react, because that's just a pathetic move.
Can I hang? She's a fucking idiot.
She looks like she looks silly. She looks like an idiot. She's trying to put on a brave face as well, like, it's giving me like pick me girl vibes.
Callum thinks he's
He thinks he's controlling the villa.
Yeah, he thinks he's controlling the villa.
Claudia, why do you care? You have Austin. That's her life. That's her choice. As for Jessica, you went through the same thing with Connor until, Al came along. And as for Maddie, you were the one that said that you wanted a bad boy over Talk, who was being a good guy to you. Go figure. And you want to call the girl a pick-me? That term, I just don't get it. I don't like throwing terms around at people. But it's her choice to want to be chosen. Anywho, everyone that come on that show is trying to choose and couple up to be with somebody. So whether she pursue Colum pursue her, it's their thing to figure out. If it don't work out in the end, it's on the two of them. But to call her a pick-me and call her not a girl's girl, she don't have to agree with you guys. And as for Phoebe is her friend. Now, she had some interesting things to say, but she stayed out of it. She was like, you know what? I'm not going to try to tell her what to do. Whatever she wants to do, I'm over it. Because she got her own things to deal with Mitchell, who is now having her as an option. So you guys got a lot of room to talk. Really? So, as for Layla, she met up with Stella. And, of course, Layla is on cloud 9 when it comes to Colum. However, Stella is still confused about the whole conversation that she had with Jordan. Now, Talk is telling Jessica how much he is vibing with Vaku and that whole conversation, but Vaku don't want him. And it's just so unfortunate because of the fact that you want somebody who is clearly just open to everybody. Whereas, Talk, he's really truly trying to build a connection with her. I mean, it's just so interesting, as they say, a lot of women don't want the good guys. They want the edgy bad boys. And this is no exception. It plays out on these shows. However, what is interesting is Claudia. She doesn't like Colum, and she's pissed off at Layla, but you're going to push Vaku to interrupt that situation for her to get a connection with Colum. So is it about Colum, or do you just not like Layla? Because if that's the case and it was a Colum issue, she would also be telling Vaku to stay away from Colum as well. But no, she wanted to facilitate that whole thing where she pushed Vaku to interrupt the conversation, so therefore he can build a connection and some conversation with, Vaku. Anyway, I just think it's a messy situation. If you just don't like the girl, then you don't like the girl. But to make this whole thing about, oh, you know, you want to call her names and this whole thing with Column, if that's the case, why are you sending Vaku over to Column? You would give her the same warning that you would want Layla, because you call her an idiot for being with Column, but you push Vaku onto Column. That's very interesting. But at this point, Layla feels like, hey, she got nothing to lose. She's good. She thinks her and Column is in a good place, even though he told Vaku he's open. It is what it is. We saw a little bit of Jordan having his little fun boot up moments with new girl Phoebe H. And of course, you know, Stella was watching from afar, which she is still reeling from the whole admission that Jordan had given her in regards to wanting to explore that option. So they got a text message that the Islanders, Phoebe and Vaku, will be stealing a boy from the current couples, and they were to go gather around the fire pit. And Sophie arrives in the villa with some huge news that Vaku and Phoebe H is going to have to choose someone partner to steal. So Phoebe H goes first. And, you know, of course, you know, Stella was on pins and needles. And, you know, she's like, it's a hard spot to be in, but we're here to explore connections. So you got to give it your all, I guess. And she made Jordan her choice. Meanwhile, Stella did say she saw the writing on the wall. She saw it coming and she wishes them all the best. So she kind of took the high road with this. Now it's Vaku's turn. And even though she shared a kiss with Tak and Column, she chooses to go with her heart and picks Column, which of course put an interesting reaction on Jessica and Layla's face. I'm like, it's got to be about Layla. It cannot be about Column, because they really had a smile. However, that ends up leaving both Stella and Layla very single and very vulnerable. However, Sophie then drops a bombshell that either Stella or Layla will be dumped from the villa, but there's a chance that they could stay. Bring in Bombshell Ben. So Sophie announces that the decision of who stays, goes, and lies in the hands of Ben. They have 5-minute dates. The first date was with Layla. And then, of course, he had his second 5-minute date with Stella. And, of course, everybody was shocked. But he made his decision that he chose to stick with Stella. So that means that by him choosing Stella, Layla has now been dumped from the island. I would say most of the Islanders were shocked by the decision. However, especially Phoebe, by the way. However, Column was very interesting because Column holds his head in his arms. And yeah, he realized that his former partner, Layla, is going home. And he was like, this is the first time I ever cried over a girl. So I'm wondering if this is going to trigger something in him, or is this just something in the moment? And then, you know, because Casa's coming. He's now with Vaku. Is that going to go anywhere? Probably not. Because if he's the eternal F-boy that Claudia says he is, then guess what, Vaku? You're next. And thank Claudia for putting you in that position. However, it was a cute little moment between Layla and Column. And she's pretty much saying, you know, she trusts him. And, you know, she's going to sit back and hopefully, I guess, wait for him. I wouldn't hold your breath, Layla. I could be wrong. And Colin might see that, hey, and there's nobody in here for me. But at this point, Layla has been officially dumped from the island. So she had her run with Austin, now with Colin, and I guess we'll see her on the outside. Okay, so let's get the conversation started. What did you think about the twist at the end of the evening with new Bombshell Ben? What do you think about the girls bringing out the cat claws when it came to Layla? Is Claudia being disingenuous? Was this all about Colin, or was this the fact that she just didn't like Layla? And what do you think about her pushing Colin off to Vaku? or does she not really care about Vaku? Let me know down in the comment section. So until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.